Hey everyone, it's Sarah, another gardening video and another harvesting video. As I told you, this week I'm going to be doing a lot of harvesting videos, and today I'm going to be harvesting my banana peppers and my cattle bush beans. So let's just get into it. So here are my banana pepper plants, starting to become overtaken by my tomato plants. As you can see, there are a lot of banana peppers on the plants, so I think I'm going to get a pretty decent harvest today, and it looks like there's quite a few big ones. So I'm going to go ahead and get in there and start picking them. So I'm still picking my pepper plants, my banana peppers, but I wanted to show you guys that everything is still blossoming and blooming, so I'm expecting a lot more banana peppers as the summer goes on. As you can see, I've picked all the ones off the bottom of this, and I actually have this many so far. But these plants seem like they're going to continue producing very many more banana peppers as the summer goes. All right, so these are all of the banana peppers that I picked today. As I had said, there are still a lot of blossoms on all of the plants. Just to give you an idea of how big they are, that's how big they are. And I'm looking for ideas on what to do with these. I was thinking about pickling them, but how do you typically pickle these? I don't want to do like a garlic dill pickle. I want to do a different kind of pickling, but I do prefer refrigerator pickling, to be honest. So if you guys have any ideas, be sure to let me know. So you might not be able to tell, but there are bean plants in there. So unfortunately the zucchini plants started to take over the beans, and the tomatoes started to take over the beans. So I have to really get in there and dig through to see where the bean plants are and the pods are. But let's see if we have any here out front. Oh yeah, here's some. Okay, so there's one, and these are dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through and I'm going to pick all these pods off. And then once I pick all the pods off, I'm going to pull the plant up and I'm going to put this in my my compost. So I'm going to go through and do that with all of the bean plants that I find. And you can actually see here's a pod that started to open, and it looks like one of these beans got a little water on it and started to sprout. See? And I'm thinking because the plants got overtaken, I'm probably going to have just enough of these to plant twice as many plants as I had this year, which is fine. I don't need to have... I wasn't expecting to get enough beans after I saw everything start to take over these plants. I wasn't expecting to get enough beans to make anything. But if I continue to build up my seeds over the years, then, or over the gardening seasons, I should say, then I should, at some point, have enough plants to start canning my own beans or storing dried beans. To remember, whenever you're going to harvest these beans for dried beans, you want to make sure that the pod is completely dry. And usually whenever you, I don't know if you can hear that, whenever you are jiggling the pod around, you can hear the seeds moving. So you know that the beans inside are dry, the bean seeds, and the pod is dry as well. And that's when you'll want to pick the pod off the plant. Typically, I wait until the majority of them are dry, if not all of them. Some of them may be over dry, and that's fine. You just don't want any that are not dried, because then you're not going to have a good bean. If you don't wait until they dry, if you're wanting to reseed any type of bean plant, and you want to use the beans inside of it, then you're going to have to wait until it dries, because that's going to be the maturity of the bean pod. That's going to be to its fullest maturity. And then like for green beans or peas or anything like that, once they've completely dried, then you can use that to reseed for next year. So with these specific beans, I'm going to be able to reseed for next year. But if I wanted to, because the bean is completely dry, I can also use it for like baked beans and soup and stuff like that as well. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so these are all of the bean pods that I picked. I probably left them on the plant a little too long because they probably shouldn't have all these spots on them, but they'll be fine. Typically, they'll look like this when they're completely dried. But I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take these inside, I'm going to shell these, and I'm going to show you all of the seeds that I got. That's what the bean looks like. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to open all these pods and just empty the beans into this glass container. I'm going to put all the shelled beans in there as well, and you'll see that some of them are actually a little bigger. Because the pod that came from was smaller. And typically you can tell if the beans are good if when you push on them, actually. So these ones that I just picked out, the pod must have gotten wet because they're not completely firm and dry. So I'll keep these out and separated. Yeah, those ones are completely dry. These ones are completely dry. So I'm going to make sure as I'm going through, even though some of the bean pods were dry, yeah, these got wet. They may have gotten wet at some point because it did rain. So I'm going to go through and just keep doing this, and I'm going to show you guys what I end up with. So I'm about halfway now, and I've got quite a bit of seeds, bean seeds here. Definitely a lot more than what I started with. I only purchased 1 pack of these from Baker Creek. So definitely very successful and getting some more seeds this year for next year, and hopefully next year whenever I go to plant these I'll be able to have enough to save some dried beans. So next year I think I'll do pretty good with the amount of seeds that I have, thinking about how many plants it's going to give me and how many bean pods per plant. There were probably about maybe 10 bean pods per plant in non-ideal conditions. So it'll be interesting to see what we have next year. These are all of the seeds that I got from my pods, and I look forward to planting them next year. So thanks again, guys, for joining me, and I hope you have a nice day.